Hello, everyone. So, I was thinking, let's talk a little bit about New Year's resolutions because I think I've heard people say, or like mostly I think read people say on the internet stuff like, oh, there's no point in making New Year's resolutions because like the end of the years, technically speaking, it's not necessarily different from any other time in the year. Like it's just a date on the calendar, it doesn't mean that anything really changes, it's just us deciding that okay, this is the moment when we count another year, but technically speaking, it's not like anything really changes, it's just time passing, but it's not very different from any other day in the year, right? It's just our decision to make it that day, right? So I've read people say, like, what's the point in having New Year's resolutions if, like, what's the point of waiting for the new year? Like, if you want to change something or whatever, then you can do it anytime, right? So I was just thinking, let's talk about that because I personally always really enjoy celebrating the new year and like the symbolism of it. Well, at the same time, I understand what people try to say here. And personally, I also don't like it when things don't make sense, So I'm gonna try to make it make sense, right? Um, Also, if I sound kind of dead, it's because I have a cold. So, and if I look kind of dead, but it's the time when I got sick again. It's that time of year, I guess, too. So, what I usually do at the end of the year is just I write some stuff down that I would like to do in the next year, like some goals. And I think the good thing about it is that you have a lot of time. You can just think, I want to do this by the end of the year, and then you have the whole year to do it, right? So you're giving yourself a lot of space. And then I think what it is that it's a good way to force yourself to reflect a little bit on the last year, what you did, the things you achieved, how you maybe have grown, what's changed, and then um, at the same time, I usually also write that down. So I write down what happened this year, like what significant stuff happened this year. I also write down some things that I might want to do in the next year. And you know what's interesting? Sometimes I write them down for a few years, like 5 years or something. I think I started around 5 years ago or something. It's interesting to see the progress you're making because when you read it, it's like maybe compared to last year, not that much has changed. But when I look at like 5 years ago, what I wrote down, it's like how my goals are drastically different and how like a lot of things have changed is really interesting to see. How like something like 5 years ago, you can be in a completely different mindset now than you used to be. I think it's pretty interesting, and you can change in ways that you never expect your life to change or yourself to change too. Um, so that's why I think it's a good excuse, right? I mean, yes, technically you could do it at any time in the year, but I think we often don't. Like we often don't really like sit and take some time to just think about it, right? So I think it's a good excuse to do it, to just reflect on like, okay, so in this time span of a year, what happened? How did I change? And what do I want to do from now on? Like, do I have some things that I really want to focus on? I personally, I think has something to do with like just being an INFJ, but I really like having some goals to focus on, to work on. And of course, I do think that, yeah, it doesn't make much sense to kind of think something like, okay, imagine you really want to do something, but it's it's a really difficult goal, maybe something you've tried before, but it didn't work. Like, I think setting goals, maybe, or New Year's resolutions that are too big could be kind of problematic, because then if it doesn't work out, you're just gonna disappoint yourself, right? And there's some truth to saying something like, well, if you, for example, if you're like, I wanna quit smoking or something, just a random example, right? But you already tried before and it didn't work. Like, imagine, or I wanna lose weight or something. Like, it's the new year now, I'm gonna do it, or I wanna go on a diet, or like, imagine you're setting a lot of goals for yourself, and they're just kind of ambitious, right? Then there's a chance that in the end you're just gonna be disappointing yourself when at the end of the year maybe it didn't work, right? So I think that could be a downside. I think you should probably just try to be a bit realistic and think like, okay, it's not gonna get easier just because it's the new year, right? So maybe I shouldn't set goals for myself that are too ambitious, or too many to focus on, right? Just like keep it simple. Um, but just see it as like a little more motivation to maybe do things a little bit different, or do something that you've wanted to do for a long time, but you just didn't start on it, or you just, the moment when you need to take one step, like, out of your comfort zone, but you haven't done it, stuff like that, where you just need to take one step. And I think the New Year's can be a little bit of a motivation to, like, take a step like that, to just do something that maybe you've been postponing or something, right? Like, or just go out of your comfort zone a little bit, like, not to do something that's unrealistic, or like too much, but something that's just achievable, but that maybe you just needed some motivation to do it, right? So I think that's why the new year, I think it can be fun to have New Year's resolutions, and to take a little bit of time to reflect on that. And you can do it at any time of the year, but like, since this is the time that we decided that we're gonna like change the year, like, why not do it now, right? So that's why I do like this tradition, because I think it's fun and it can be useful. It can be a little bit more motivation to work a little bit harder on your goals, or to just set a new goal, or just think about it, like, what do I actually want with my life this year, right? um and even if at the end of the year you didn't reach all of your goals, it can be fun to be like, oh, I did reach this goal, to like look at that and be like, I actually did this thing that I wanted to do, right? I also have sometimes that something completely unexpected happens, right? Or that by the end of the year, one of the goals I set at the beginning of the year, I don't even want it anymore. Sometimes things like kind of go weird like that. But anyhow, I think that's probably enough said about this. It's completely random topic, but it suits the time of the year, and I hope everyone has a great. I mean, I might post some videos before that time, but like, since we're talking about this time of the year, I hope everyone has great holidays. And I was just thinking, like, let's do more of these type of videos that are a little bit just about random topics. Just be a little bit philosophical about it and just discuss it, because I think there are many like random topics that I can talk about that are still fun to talk about, even if it's just gonna be like this, probably a 10-minute video or something. But anyway, that's what I was thinking. Thank you for watching, and see you later. Goodbye.